Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pinche Gringo show. It's really nice to be back after a week off. We had a great show for you tonight because as we speak, it is the opening night of a shortened 60-game Major League Baseball season. We have some amazing guests, so please stay with us for that. But first, some news. If you lived in the United States in the 1980s or 90s, you probably have seen this commercial. Here we go, live. We are live. That's right. Goya, the quintessential company for any Latin food product staples. Kind of like the equivalent of finding TGI Fridays cheddar and bacon potato skins in a Mexican supermarket. And Goya, oh boya. No wonder why, even until now, I think that I can just add an O or an A to the end of an English word and hope it was the right translation. Like my favorite, was that me? Soy muy embarazada. Well, last week, Goya Foods president Robert Unnaue accepted an invitation to go to the White House to talk about better access to education and jobs for Hispanic communities. Seems okay, serving the country, helping further Latino initiatives, until he said this.
We're all truly blessed at the same time to have a leader like President Trump, who is a builder. And that's what my grandfather did. He came to this country to build, to grow, to prosper. And so we have an incredible builder, and we pray. We pray for our leadership, our president, and we pray for our country that we will continue to prosper and to grow.
Whoops. This caused a tremendous amount of controversy as many called for a boycott on products like taco seasoning mix. Because of course here in Mexico, we eat our tacos crispy with yellow cheese and lettuce. To counter the boycott of these products, the president used the famous desk in the Oval Office used by many presidents to talk to the American people during major crises to promote things like Goya red kidney beans and Goya chocolate wafers. And then to add to it, daughter Ivanka got involved to promote black beans, the magical fruit. Whoops. Oh boy. But an update on COVID in Mexico City. It's been about 3 to 4 weeks since residents started saying, oh crap, this thing's real, isn't it? Or the half wearers. You know what I'm talking about. Those who believe their nose is just too beautiful to be covered. Who realized, oh wait, you can breathe germs through your nose too? But on a more serious note, 40,000 have succumbed to the virus and 350,000 people have been affected, forcing the country to put a number of states back into a red light situation, which I must again mention, red lights don't mean anything here in Mexico City. Not a really effective method in our beautiful country for anybody to stop. Remember, red means go. So please, Mr. Lopez Gatell, again, change the red light to a Mexican mom, because you all know that's how you get people to obey the rules. Mijo, wear that mask. More effective. But other states such as Mexico City continued its slow reopening, as well as the Mexico state, the most populated in the country, joining the others to allow things like restaurants and churches to reopen at a lower capacity. Meanwhile, this meme swept the internet, surprising many who thought Mexico was really just another state. Because remember, many Americans think there is nothing outside of America. What state do you live in, Dan? I live in Mexico. You mean New Mexico? Oh, Johnny and I drove through Albuquerque after I was married. The people were just lovely. But let's move on to our main story tonight. The baseball season is finally getting underway tonight after a long 4-month postponement due to COVID. We decided to take a deeper look at baseball here in Mexico. Of course, football is Mexico's national pastime, or as Americans usually refer to it, is that sport that kids play that aren't tough enough to play American football. But baseball runs second, especially in border states like Sonora and in Caribbean states like Quintana Roo. So let's go to Pinche Gringo show correspondent Javier Negrete with some reactions of how baseball is perceived aquí en la Ciudad de Mexico. Javier?
Hello Dan, we're back again here in Mexico City, this time to know how much the people know about baseball. We're going to make them 3 different questions, so come with me. Va.
Dodgers. Los Yankees.
Los Dodgers.
No. No.
Va.
No.
No, pero son 12.
Eso no.
¿Con unas 10?
No, ay.
Tú deberías saber.
2, 4, 8, según no mal recuerdo.
Chilango. Bolillo.
Bolillo.
Tamal. No sé. No lo sé, solo sé acerca de fútbol, pero hasta ahí.
Los bateadores.
Pues las Águilas.
Tacos, béisbol, algo así. Yo le pondría como la gran Tenochtitlán. Las Spiders.
Okay, fun fact. Actually, Mexico City has a baseball team named Los Diablos Rojos de Mexico. That is it for this week. See you next week, then.
Thanks, Javier. For more on baseball in Mexico and its impact, we have with us Vice President and General Manager of Latin America for Major League Baseball, Rodrigo Fernandez, and former Major League pitcher for the Padres, Orioles, Rockies, Phillies, Diamondbacks, and Cubs, Rodrigo Lopez. Thanks so much for both of you for joining the show tonight. Tocayos, guys with the same name, right? And happy opening day for both of you. I'm sure you're really excited about it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and even thank you, Rodrigo Tocayo, for being here.
Tocayo, that's a pleasure. Danny, thank you for the invite. This is a pretty unique show. I never see a Pinche Gringo sign on one of the webinars.
Yeah, absolutely. But Rodrigo, let's start with you. You're from Tlalnepantla, a suburb of Mexico City, or as I like to call it, Little Satellite. I don't know if you would agree with that, or that's insulting for you, but you're in a world filled with soccer. And so tell us what got you interested in baseball and how did you make it from there to be a major league pitcher?
Well, yes, I was born and raised in Mexico City. And actually my dad, he was a football player. He made it through the minor leagues and in the soccer league in Mexico for the team, for the Atlante team. But me, as older kids my age, I was born in 1975. So when I was 6 years old, Fernando Valenzuela, it was start to get his, his career with the Dodgers. But he creates, as you know, the Fernando Mania that hits Mexico City, that hits South America, Central and South America. So be a new sport that was introduced to me through television because of Fernando, I was starting to get a little bit, attracted by the sport. So me and my brother, who's older than me by 3 years, we started to play baseball with our friends in Tlalnepantla and on the streets. Eventually, my parents signed me out for a league, for a little league right there in the Deportivo Reynosa, and that's where all start. I started playing baseball just to practice any sport, to my development as a human being, I guess, as a kid. But eventually it becomes my job, my profession. So we fall in love with the sports. My parents and my brother used to go to the league every weekend, stay there pretty much the whole day, Saturdays and Sundays. And I don't know I was going to become a professional. Honestly, I never dreamed of being a professional player until I was 15 years old when the chances start to knocking on my door and not being a good student. So I say, well, probably this is the route that I had to follow. And I think I make the right choice.
Right. So there are a large amount of Latinos that have made it into the major leagues, but not so many Mexicans. What did it mean to you as being Mexican and making it through in many different cities in the major leagues?
No, you're right, Danny. We grew up in one of the largest cities in the world, not just Mexico, in the world. And I think so far there's like 3 or 4 major league players from the city. So when I signed, I was just trying to fit into professional baseball. I didn't realize that it was so hard to get into the big leagues or even establish yourself in the Mexican League. So I started to figure out what was all about. Definitely, my goal was to reach first the minor leagues, being signed by MLB team, and eventually become a big league player. Uh, Honestly, I didn't know much about the process. I didn't know much about the history of the baseball or players from Mexico City. By the time I just knew that Alfonso Houston Jimenez, that was the only player that I knew that he was in the big leagues with the Minnesota Twins. Other than that, I just know Fernando Valenzuela and Teodoro Higuera, which both out for Northern Mexico.
Right.
So for me, it was just an adventure at the beginning. And back in 1995, that was my first season here in Peoria, Arizona, with the Padres. And I was at one point, at one point I was like, all right, this is not adventure anymore. This is your future. You had to treat it like that. So I started to realize, what do you need to stay in the business? How can you make money? How can you live out of baseball? And the best way was, to me, get into the big leagues, be a starting pitcher, and stay for at least 6 years in the big leagues. And and that's what I tried to do.
Now, when you were playing, you played in a lot of places where there were high concentrations of Mexicans inside that city. Did you feel an incredible support from the Mexican community? Because as we know, Mexicans really support La Patria, the country, and people who play, especially in the United States. Did you feel that in the stands when you were pitching?
Well, my first team in the majors was the San Diego Padres. So yes, when I make my debut back in 2000 with the San Diego Padres, yeah, I feel with La Raza, the guys that just crossed the border to go watch a big league game. And I remember I was choosing to go across the street to Tijuana and sign an autograph, and a lot of people showed up and they were showing their support. Back then, the team that now is in I think it was Toros de Tijuana, they were not team back then. So the only team in that area, there was the Padres. So I saw a lot of people supporting me to be with the Padres. Unfortunately for me, I couldn't establish myself with the Padres. My other teams were the Baltimore Orioles. That's a team that I stayed longer. That was 5 years with them. But you know what? There were not many Mexicans around there. I know there were a lot of Central and South America population, but not many Mexican players. And then I was straight to the Colorado Rockies, and that was like the same thing.
Yeah.
So I never had a chance until I was with the Arizona Diamondbacks back in 2010 to be around a larger Mexican community where I really feel like I feel close to home when I pitch in Arizona. So
absolutely,
that was my adventure here. But yeah, that was like every time I went to Los Angeles. The media and the fans, they make yourself presence to me, and that was kind of grateful for me.
Absolutely. It must be incredible because there are not so many Mexican players in the major leagues to wear that banner proudly and be one of the pioneers that have opened. And I'm sure that you are a role model to many children here in Mexico, just like Fernando Valenzuela was to you. Rodrigo Fernandez, I want to talk to you a little bit about the expansion of baseball here in Mexico. I mean, we know soccer is king, but we know in the Caribbean and in the border states, baseball is very popular. And now we have a president from Tabasco, and Tabasco, of course, is a very big baseball state. Tell us about how baseball is right now, the current state in Mexico.
Well, for the past 4 years that we have opened the office, when MLB decided to open an office here in Mexico, the studies show that we have around 22, 23 million fans of MLB that can translate directly to baseball fans. Now, latest studies range between 35 to 37 million fans of MLB. And there are some things that have changed. Obviously, the perception is that in the northern states or the Gulf or the Caribbean, or there is the biggest fan base. However, and contradictory to what you just showed at the beginning of the show, in Mexico City, we have a very big fan base of MLB. If you go to Jalisco, we have another really big fan base. So we're developing, and as you just mentioned, we now with a president that is a crazy baseball fan. He loves the sport and he's pushing it. So I think that many stars are aligning right now in Mexico to see the results. Obviously not in 1 year, but probably in 5 years we're going to see a lot more players in Major League Baseball. That's our goal. That's where we're pushing a lot of buttons to make that happen, and I think we're in the right path to accomplish that goal. Obviously, Rodrigo can tell you more about it, but we're seeing a substantial increase in Mexicans on the minor league system, and I think that this is just a matter of time that we're going to have a lot of Mexican players in Major League Baseball, and the most important thing for us as Mexicans is to eventually compete for the World Baseball Classic.
Absolutely. And Mexico has done pretty well in the Caribbean Series and some other major competitions. So it seems relevant that especially with the support of the president and the government, that we could see that going in the future. Rodrigo Lopez, for any Mexican child that is watching this, I don't think, or dad that's watching this, what are your recommendations for somebody who wants to be more involved in the game?
In the game of baseball, well, just like in just any other sports, I guess, just follow your passion. If you feel like baseball is your sport, your passion, I think as a parent you have to support your kid. They're just like my tocayo, like Rodrigo just mentioned. There's a big population of baseball fans in Mexico. There's so many leagues around. There's so many little leagues around, and if you guys believe that you guys live in Mexico City, I mean, it's just a matter of just Google any little league in Mexico, and you will see like 10 leagues. Besides that, is baseball team, the Mexico City Reds, the Devils, that play right there in a beautiful stadium. So there's so many ways to follow the sport, and really, as a parent, I would like to give my kids different options, not only soccer, not only boxing, but I think baseball it's a pretty complete game where you can develop any kid in any country. I guess to give you good values. It's a game that you don't only need strength, also you need to be smart. You get to think about. Maybe baseball seems slow from the outside, but eventually, if you play the game, you see how fast you had to think and how fast you had to react, and just the effort, the physical effort that you make in baseball is just unique because you had to go from 0 to 100% in matter of small time. So it's just a complete sport, and I just recommend all the people in Mexico that give your kids another options. And baseball is a great sport, and also you can make pretty decent money if you've been signed by a big league team.
Right. So Fernandez, the baseball's back today, and Rodrigo Lopez as well. This is a great news, and I know that the Yankees and Nationals are playing at this moment, but there is a huge rain delay, probably a rain out today. But what do you both expect for the short time that we have left? What do you expect to happen with the baseball season this year, since it's a very shortened 60-game season. It seems like that this is going to be a sprint and something really exciting. And of course, yesterday it was announced by MLB that they're talking about expanded playoffs with 16 teams instead of 8. What are you guys looking for in this baseball season? Rodrigo Fernandez.
Well, first of all, let me confirm that the league and the union just announced that we're going to be having expanded playoffs, which makes it even more interesting for this 60-game season. I think it's going to be a sprint. We're going to see a lot of surprises out of this season because many of the very young, talented teams are going to be in a better position to compete with the more experienced teams. So I think it's just going to be fun. And now with expanded playoffs, this is just going to be a great show. We're going to see a lot more competition and I would like to say a lot more surprises.
That's great. And Lopez, are the players nervous? If you were a player right now with COVID, how would you be feeling about this shortened season, especially as a pitcher and every single outing counts?
Yeah, no, definitely this season it's gonna be different. But for what I expect is more intensity by the players. It's been a long time that they were waiting for the season to start. There were even rumors where probably it was not gonna be a league this year, and fortunately, it's a league opening day, just like you mentioned, is happening right now. And all the time that the players were waiting, as well as the fans, I guess, you accumulate that energy, that passion. And that's what I see, or at least what I expect for the players. Being just 16 games is no more like 6 months and 162 games. You have to play hard. Every game counts. You got to be, pretty intensive. The way the manager is gonna manage the games is gonna be a little different. The attraction probably for some of the fans is universal DH. There's not gonna be pitchers in the lineups. So all those kind of things, it's a good mix to make this season very attractive. Even that we start with no fans, but I think the passion and the will of the players to give it a 100% offer, you can see it through the TV, like we see it right now. A lot of people in their homes, a lot of people that love sport, been waiting for this moment that happen right now. So I guess all the energy for the players is going to be there, and it's going to be pretty interesting because any of the 30 teams will have a chance to make the playoff. Now that we announced that we're going to expand the playoff race.
Seems like very exciting, no? It's going to be, a really sprint and then 16 teams. That's amazing.
You can, if you're a fan, don't, watch every game because anything can happen. Anything can happen. Even the Dodgers probably don't make the playoff. Most likely they will, but there are other teams that they can get into good straight and get into the playoffs. So it's going to be fun today.
Yeah, thank you guys, and thank you guys so much for joining us. We're out of time, but I would love to talk more, and hopefully we'll have you guys on the show again later in the season, especially during the playoffs. Rodrigo Fernandez, Vice President and Executive Director of Major League Baseball here in Latin America, and Rodrigo Lopez, a former MLB pitcher. Thank you guys both for joining us on the show today.
Thank you very much, guys. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, and thanks to all the Pinche Gringos staff.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, as we speak, the baseball season has begun, but I'm not really going to watch the game tonight. Why? Because I despise both teams that are playing, particularly the one wearing pinstripes, the black and white team that I like to call the Evil Empire. Yes, I am from New York, but I hate the Yankees, and I enjoy them losing sometimes just as much as watching a win from my team, their cross-time rivals, the New York Mets. But those of you watching tonight in Mexico City can relate with classic rivalries between Pumas, Cruz Azul, and America. But yesterday we pre-recorded an interview from a member of the Evil Empire, Yankee fan Dane Martinez, host of the popular online show Fantasy Freestyle Sports Grid Network, and also a friend of 15 years except when it comes to our baseball teams. Let's go to the clip. Okay, it seems like we're having some difficulty. This is the process of live TV, unfortunately. Sometimes we get, but we're going to work on this. And let's go to our next segment, and then we will go back to that when we see and on the fix the problems. But let's go. While many of you are sitting on your couches and watching TV, what better way to enjoy a delicious brisket sandwich? So on more on that, we go to Pinche Gringo, lovely host correspondent Laila Garcia Mora, to talk about two of our favorite sandwiches. Laila, how are you doing today?
Dan, I have to tell you, I made that video not work because I'm hungry and I want to eat now.
I know it's live TV, you know, like we got to figure it out. I know Cynthia's working behind the scenes right now to see how she can get the audio to work, and hopefully we'll run that clip again afterwards, but we're going to work on it right now. But Laila, let's go through here and talk about, I've been so excited about this segment too, and I know it's not going to get too cold, but this delicious sandwich, my favorite, it has bacon, brisket, and Swiss cheese. Tell me about it while I take an incredible bite.
Okay, that one is the amazing BBS. And as you mentioned, it has brisket, our artisanal smoked brisket. It has bacon, and it has Swiss cheese melted. It has, obviously, barbecue sauce, onions, pickles, and it's inside a toasted brioche bread sandwich.
Oh,
it is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
you know,
I'm talking to you about it, but I was on a 7-day hike in Peru, and I was starving and hungry and hallucinating because it was so high, like it was like 5,000 meters, and all I could dream about was a BBS.
This is a good sandwich to dream about. And the next one is also really, really, really good.
Are you ready, Lila?
Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? All right. This is our Chilango Gringo. And the Chilango Gringo has pulled pork, has pepper jack cheese melted, has crispy bacon, and the top of the cake, it's these amazing jalapenos that are breaded. So it's like a party of crispy and juicy inside your mouth. So guys, we closed at 10, our delivery, so you still have time to order for today. Remember, BBS and Chilango Gringo.
Oh my goodness. All right. I can't eat and talk and host the show at the same time. Listen.
Save it for later.
Where you can get these two amazing sandwiches. So we have the ability to get delivery, right? Tell us about it.
Uh-huh. It's super simple. You just have to go into pgbbq.mx or send a text to our WhatsApp number that it's down here. And you just say like, hey, I'm hungry and I saw the show and I want 2 sandwiches and I want them now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Moving on quick. We've been talking about sports tonight. And when we're not in a coronavirus mode, there's usually a lot of great sports happening at Pinche Gringo. Tell us more about that.
Okay, Pinche Gringo is a place to watch sports. We have always amazing parties every year with the Super Bowl. And now we are with NBA, we are with baseball. We have every sport that you can imagine. And also, our spaces are the best to be with your friends, to be with your family, to enjoy a good time. And who can't remember our amazing Super Bowls that with the restaurant packed? And we are crossing our fingers to be like that sometime soon.
That's great, Lila. I think people were paying attention to you, but I think more so to this amazing sandwich. So let's see. All right. Well, Lila, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll stay tuned. So, Cynthia, give me some indication. Do we got the audio? We're going to try this one more time. All right, let's try this again. Let's go to Dane Martinez, the pre-recorded interview. Hopefully there will be some audio on. Lila, thank you very much.
Dane, how you doing today? Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Glad to be here again, man.
Dane, for many of our fans here in Mexico, they really understand rivalries. And for us in New York, I know that the Mets-Yankees rivalry is pretty intense as well. My first question is that when I travel all over the world, I see Yankee hats everywhere, in every place, and every place. And if I would go to anybody and ask them, name a catcher, name the pitcher, the current pitcher, they wouldn't know anything. So how does it feel to be a fan of a front-runner team?
It feels absolutely fine because I would know everything I need to, and that's what I care about as a fan. And I think it's a misnomer in the way you phrase the question, Dan. You talk about a rivalry. We do not have a rivalry with the Mets. The Mets do not win. They're not in our league. It's like a rivalry like a hammer has with a nail. I actually care about things like the Red Sox or the Astros, people that are in my way from winning. The Mets are some back page kind of thing. This only reeks of inferiority complex and little brother syndrome to me.
Whatever it means, Dane, that doesn't matter because with the Mets, it rips families apart sometimes. Some person's a Yankee fan, someone's a Mets fan. And my Mets fandom goes back many generations. My grandfather was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan.
Sure.
The Yankees versus the Dodgers, and he hated the Yankees, and my mom hated the Yankees. So
absolutely.
Of course, I have to hate the Yankees too. It's part of my heritage as a Mets fan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that absolutely completely makes sense to me. But then you have to, if you're going to go back that far, also acknowledge that the Mets are nothing but an amalgamation of the Dodgers and the Giants back in the day, down to the fact that when they have Citi Field and reopened, they had to specifically take things from those histories as well. So even from the beginning, it doesn't understand, what kind of storied franchise are you really repping and how is it really tearing families apart? I know where I am. We've been here for centuries.
Well, I disagree because I think that fandom is camaraderie and people who root with you, forever staying with you. In your stadium, you have to spend a lot of money. It's rich people, don't know anything about the game. And a Mets fan is someone who knows about the Mets, who feels the Mets, is a working class person who usually is from the place where the Mets play. And the Yankees, just a bunch of yuppie fresa people that don't know anything about the sport when you're at the game. How can you have fun watching a game with those?
Talking about a lot of people, however you bring me on, and I am not one of those people. I am born right there in the Boogie Down Bronx. And so I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but these things.
Fun to be a Mets fan because if you're winning all the time,
again, and for all of the people out here,
for
all of you, sure, absolutely, and you want to have fun, but I refer back to all of the people in the Pinche Gringo podcast audience. I said from the beginning, it reeks of little brother inferiority complex. The entire time, Dan has talked about the feeling and the fun of fandom. He has yet to reply on anything actually doing with success of the franchise.
Well, it doesn't matter success of the franchise because watching the sport is about that time when you're finally going to win. And the day that we win a championship, it's going to be 18 times greater than any of the 28, 29, 43 championships that the Yankees just keep winning because they keep on buying it, right? They pay for their players to get the field.
That's a nice little argument, and you talk about buying. Think about the team that's going into the season right now and all the homegrown talent that it has between Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, Luis Severino, Miguel Andujar, Gio Urshela, Brett Gardner. The list goes on and on. That's a nice little argument Met fans like to make, again, because they have nothing else to to go to, but it's because of the soft spot in your history. Think about your owners being swindled by Bernie Madoff to the point where I also have to let the Pinche Gringo audience know that at the beginning of this month on July 1st, it was Bobby Bonilla Day. Dan should be able to tell you about that when they still paid $1 million to a player on their franchise who hasn't played for them in over 20 years. Another financial argument that just comes out of insecurity.
Dane, all right, you hit on that one. Bobby Bonilla, the biggest embarrassment. Mex player had a contract that was negotiated for $1 million each year for, I think, what, 35 years?
35, Dan. You and your franchise will still be loving it. Thus, where the financial argument could come from, because it's a soft spot for Mets fans.
Absolutely. Dane, let's pause on this. This is great, but tell me, really, for our fans that really want to understand, like, who's a Yankee fan, who's a Mets fan? What's your opinion as being a native New Yorker about that?
I think a lot of it has to do with geography on some level, different areas of the city, proximity to the ballpark. I think some of it has to do with heritage and nationality as well. I think more Latino fans are Yankee fans, but I also believe that this has to do, as most fandom does in any sport, in any country, with your own specific family. When your parents got you into the sport, whatever team they were a fan of, you usually either went with that or rebelled against that. And I think that's the predominant reason for most Mets and Yankees fans. Also, depending on when you were growing up, who was good, who was bad, and if you wanted to ride with that or if you wanted to kind of be counterculture.
Absolutely. Dane, last question. What do you think about the baseball season this year? This is a 60-game format. Now there's talk in the news today about expanding the playoffs to 16 teams. This seems like that baseball can finally be kind of exciting for the regular Joe who doesn't enjoy baseball. What's your feeling about the season this year?
I have conflicted feelings, Dan. The virus is in a crazy state in different areas of this country, but yet baseball and sports are going to go on. I am excited. You mentioned the 60 games. Sometimes we call baseball a marathon, not a sprint. Well, not this year. Dan, some of you baseball fans may know there's very interesting things I may be looking for. Like, could someone hit 400 in this shortened season? Could a reliever win a Cy Young if they pitch to dominant stats and something like a sub-1 ERA? Will it have an asterisk? The Houston Astros, who are supposed to bear the brunt of a cheating scandal, are now going to get off scot-free. And here in New York, Dan, the Yankees are co-favorites in a lot of places to win the World Series with the Los Angeles Dodgers, favorites in the American League. A lot of people like the Mets. I am one of them this year. I think they have a ready-made DH in Yoenis Cespedes. However, Dan, you must also realize one of the pieces of breaking news here at New York is that the Mets' number 2 starter, Marcus Stroman, has torn a calf muscle. He's going to be out for a while. And in a condensed season, any trip to the IL, especially for a starting pitcher, is already almost a quarter to a third of the season. With Thor already down, that's a big hurt for the New York Metropolitans.
I agree, man. It's going to be an exciting season, and I hope you come join us throughout the season. We can talk about sports. We're finally getting sports back. I know that I hope it's going to be safe, but it's very exciting for a sports fan, especially for me, who I didn't realize how much I really love baseball until I didn't have it. Yeah, a lot of our listeners were waking up to the KBO at 4 a.m. I'm excited to happen. I know it's going to start. I hope it's going to finish. But whatever happens, I know we're going to be watching. That's going to be, I guess, just as exciting to see as well. Dane Martinez, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Anytime, Dan. Good.
Pinche Gringo, Mexico is laughing thanks to you. We like to watch you dance salsa and listen to your bad Spanish too. We like to watch you almost die from spicy food.